So let's pass this on to Adam, in which we're going to dive, or Adam's actually going to dive much, much deeper into educating you on planning guidelines around estate planning. So, Adam, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, this is my contribution. I wanted to give some explicit language that I'd recommend you use in partnership with implementing trust and will to make sure that you're applying this with confidence and more importantly, compliantly as well. So I'm going to review some of these slides here and go into detail. So the first, and I'm going to, kind of go back to the question around charging. This is kind of the most recent and explicit policy around how to charge or how can you charge for estate plans. So again, we're using terms like calculation of per unit cost and those sorts of things. To be honest, most advisors don't do this. It's almost a de minimis cost as well. If you're just charging for sending a client to refer to a network, you want to be in the seat to help the relationship in the estate planning. However, you may run into some situations where maybe it's a new prospect or maybe a brokerage client that's just maybe saw some of the services and was asking. You can go in and if you can calculate, hey, my out-of-pocket cost for trust and will and my bulk estate plans was $250 out of pocket, then I'm just going to extend that cost directly and have the client pay me for that service. That's one way to think about it. But for the most part, most advisors are doing additional work and services on the left under permitted. And you got to think about this in three lanes. You got to think about education, which includes the explanation and guidance around general concepts, trust structures, taking the client's personal circumstances and applying it to general trust education and estate planning education. The second, and most important, the advisor plays a big role in the analysis and strategy development as well. Before the estate plan's even drafted, we're taking a look at the client's goals and the overall estate analysis and taking time to make sure that clients feel confident in the strategy before actually implementing that. And that saves a whole heck of a lot of time, cost savings on the client, that is, working with an advisor than often an estate attorney as well. And that's something you should maybe take away for value proposition at as well. And then the third is the time to actually support the implementation. Great, the trust is drafted, it's notarized, it's ready to go. How many clients actually re-register their home in the trust? I'd probably say less than 50% if I was a betting man. So it's the advisor's role, and once that's created, applying that within the financial plan as a whole. So stick in those three lanes, and often you can charge an explicit cost for those services through a financial planning engagement. Now, non-permitted, we already touched on this, but again, trust and will is creating and drafting legal documents and or delivering legal advice through their network of attorneys. I just added an additional one here that I get questions on. Advisors can't provide like a formal asset valuation for estate tax purposes or appraisals. Things that I think are commonly known, but here's an explicit list. And again, the last comment I would just recommend is think through your clients and your opportunities to make sure that you organize an appropriate approach and language under the permitted services list in your approach to charging.